Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tobian. Let me retell for you the plot of the book. Vasily Golovachev, The Shadow of Lucifer's Wing. Peak 1 Beginner Chapter 2. Nikita lay in bed for 2 whole days. He was feeling terrible and haunted by constant nightmares. At first, his mother took care of him, and later, Takeda volunteered for the job. Once Sukhov started to feel better, he became fascinated by the star on his hand. It had lightened in color, turning brown, and, most interestingly, it had shifted from his palm closer to his wrist. Takeda settled nearby, reading an old manuscript. Nikita felt talkative and began questioning his friend about what he thought of all this. His friend replied that it was too early to draw conclusions. Too little was known. They didn't even know exactly who the old man was, or who those 4 attackers were. But one thing Takeda could say for sure, what that star on Nick's hand was. That's the message. But it's too soon for you to understand the full meaning. Let's save that conversation for a few days. In the meantime, Nikita asked for some milk, but Tolya said they were out. He called a friend, without specifying who, and simply asked them to bring milk. That was the entire conversation. Nikita was puzzled, but waited. They watched TV. The star came up again. Takeda explained that the message implied a certain path that must be walked. Nikita objected, saying he wasn't going anywhere, but his friend said that he would have no choice. They also recalled how symbols had changed on the old man's hand before the star finally appeared. First there was a circle, the sign of eternity, the beginning of all. Then it became a triangle within a square, symbolizing the union of the divine and the human, spirit and body, heaven and earth. All this was an early hint about the nature of the path ahead. Takeda made Nikita promise to be careful in all things, without explaining exactly why. And then, the friend with the milk arrived. It was a girl. A very beautiful girl. Her name was Ksenia Konstantinovna Krasnova, Takeda called her the 3Ks. She was an artist. Nikita didn't remember much of the conversation. Mostly it was Tolya and Ksenia talking while he stayed quiet. And that was the end of their meeting. The day ended, and Nikita slept soundly, without dreams or anxiety. A few days later, Nikita returned to his rehearsals. But during one session, something strange happened. The stage floor suddenly collapsed, right after Sukhov had left it. Had he stayed just a little longer, he would have fallen from a height of 3.5 meters and gotten seriously hurt. He was lucky. When Tolya heard about it, he said, "It happens. Or maybe, psychic reconnaissance. What about your new birthmark? It tingles sometimes." Just before the floor collapsed, it was really itchy. "That's why I stepped off stage." "Interesting," said Tolya. "By the way, you should visit Ksenia. Her paintings are worth seeing." Nikita had been thinking about her constantly, so he happily agreed. He went to visit the artist. She had set up her studio in a small basement and was finishing a new painting when he arrived. She recognized him and asked how he was feeling, if he had recovered. The girl said she was a little busy, but they agreed to meet again that evening. She also asked him to get her a ticket to one of his dance performances, which he happily agreed to do. She led him into another room to show him some of her artwork. Nikita couldn't take his eyes off her, noting every beautiful detail. Then he saw her paintings, and was even more impressed. She was clearly a master. The most captivating pieces were her abstract works, which depicted nothing concrete. but they carried something magical, some internal message. Each one stirred emotion and made the heart flutter. Now that was art. But the girl said that influential people, those who decide the fate of young artists, did not share his enthusiasm. She'd only been allowed to exhibit her work twice. Nikita, deeply impressed, asked if he could visit again. Ksenia agreed and told him how she met Takeda. He had once defended her on the street. Then she asked again about the star on his hand. The star seemed to respond with a series of stings. It clearly reacted. Sukhof said he didn't think it was a burn or an injury, but something entirely different. They arranged to meet again that evening, and Nikita returned home. Tolya was there. They talked about Ksenia. Tolya said she was special, one in a million. He asked if she'd shown Nikita her special paintings and was surprised to hear she had. Then he asked again about the theater incident. Tolya looked concerned. He suggested that someone unknown, had decided to play it safe. He again questioned Nikita about the soldiers in the park. Tolya revealed that, on that same night in the park, not only was the old man killed, but another person too. The message now carried by Nikita, the messenger had been on his way to the envoy, but both were killed. Tolya shared only fragments of the truth, saying that for now, that was best, even if it all seemed like gibberish to Nikita. Finally, he suggested that maybe those men, those demons, had decided to hedge their bets and placed a black curse on Nikita, known as the Mark of Evil. And it was probably for the best that they hadn't taken the dancer seriously, otherwise, they'd have acted much more harshly. Nikita was shaken, and displeased. And once again, the star on his hand began to tingle.